Hey. Okay, so am I really loud, or, do I turn this down? Because I turned it up for that video.
You're fine. You're not really loud.
Where's chat? Chat. Oh, yeah, I got my mic pretty far away. Nathan, Art, you were here. He's still here. And we got Doubting Thomas, and we got Ora Woolley. Nathan Artwork, the guy who drew this picture that you see on the left.
Yeah, I was very pleasantly surprised to see him pop up.
Yeah, I haven't seen him for a while. I heard like rumors that, he'd like converted, and then he said, well, not really, but went to work for somebody that maybe made him have to convert. Isn't it religious discrimination not to hire an atheist for your Noah's Ark exhibit? And you're
not in America anymore, but in reality, yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be considered legal discrimination, but you have the corrupt Supreme Court who is doing things for money and favors.
I am smooth like butter. Pretty
well, that's
buttery.
a big thing to be.
Yeah, smooth like butter. Anyway. Okay, so we were going to go over a few things today that kind of burrs in my... Oh, Michael Levin. Michael Levin is a molecular cell biology researcher who has been promoting, ever since John Maddox found him about 4 years ago, he's been promoting this idea of electric fields having a lot to do with cells. And he actually did some work and found some evidence that is in fact the case. And a lot of biologists were pretty much down on him. But today, I found out he's also a fucking woohead when it comes to philosophy of the mind. And he was on with Bernardo Kastrup, and Bernardo Kastrup was saying, it's all mental. And Mike Levine was saying, yeah, I'm getting you. I'm getting it, man. I hear you, brother. Like, what the fuck? Oh, and Michael Levine was a hero of mine until this morning. Come on, Scott.
I think there's a magic button, a magic combination key that takes everybody into the back room.
Did you find it?
I think I did, but I was typing and everything shut off. So
what was it?
I don't know what I did. I don't even remember what I was typing. Oh, I was saying hello to Mandible.
Mandible. Oh, Mandible's here?
Mandible is here.
Hi, Mandible. We were talking about your channel yesterday, and really appreciated you going after Kastrup and the other crazy woohead cult follower, his cult member, the cult of Kastrup. Anyway, so oh my God, so Michael Levine and Kastrup were getting together, and I couldn't believe that Michael Levine agreed with him, because Michael Levine should know better. But he thinks there's like some sort of uber physicality, some kind of mental physicality that underlies the universe, just like David Chalmers. And it is just so, I'm so fucking tired of these people. He thinks that is what actually designs the embryo, that the embryo is built like somehow this mentalness communicates with his electrical fields. And like I say, the guy found some very interesting things about embryogenesis, but then he goes off the fucking rails and he wants to make it all mental. Now, this all kind of ties in with this Dan McClellan video in a weird way. Like, there are a bunch of a certain kind of human that thinks that we are so special in the fucking cosmos. I mean, think for a moment how tiny we are. I mean, we're like scum, a little bit of scum that's mixed in with a whole lot of dust on the surface of a little tiny particle in a solar system, in a galaxy, in a web of galaxies, in the entire fucking cosmos.
Did you see that back of the napkin kind of calculation I did? I texted you the other day. Or maybe yesterday. I just did. I thought, what if only 1 in every million galaxy in the universe had life on one planet or moon in that galaxy? There would still be 200,000 planets in the universe with life on it, which is a bunch, but it's not a whole lot in comparison to the number of galaxies or the number of planets, but still that's a lot. And that's just, the bare minimum chances of there being life given. And the thing that kind of motivated that was the fact that satellite that went out and gathered material from that asteroid, and then it was picked up somehow in space and brought back to Earth.
That was neat. That was neat.
It was, and it had all these clay crystal looking things that had water locked into them, and there was a whole bunch of carbon all over that. That is a common substance all throughout the universe, and that is the very basic stuff from which the organic kind of material for life comes together.
Yeah.
And so, it's just almost inconceivable that there isn't life somewhere. It may not be a life that we recognize because there are so many combinations and permutations of ways that those organic chemicals can come together. But to me, it's amazing. I think there's far greater chance than, one planet in one galaxy out of a million galaxies having life. I think there's a much greater chance than that. But still, think of the abundance of life just given those rock bottom odds.
Yeah. Nerdy Rodent, isn't consciousness something that arose in life forms through the process of evolution? I would never say that. Because for one thing, it didn't exactly arose or emerge. It's built into what life is. So basically, the first worm that followed a gradient, and an alkalinity, acidity gradient up a stream, or moved away from it, was the beginning of this whole process that led to what has to be consciousness. And we're conscious because we are connected. And we are embedded and connected in the physicality of our environment. And we humans happen to be connected at I think, probably the highest level of any other organism, except for maybe whales, and dolphins and things of that nature, maybe elephants. We are very highly connected. And we're also connected internally to our own processes. So, like, you want to say there's 5 senses, there are a fuck ton more than 5 senses. Proprioception is a sense that you get. And you can even sense your health, your blood level, your glucose, your sugar levels. There's just a whole lot of information pouring into us. And beyond that, David's having trouble again.
No, it wouldn't let me pair once you already started.
Oh, okay. Are you paired now?
No, it won't. It won't do it. You can't do it once you already started.
No shit.
That's what the message said. So I tried to restart, but nope, it wouldn't work. So
that's too bad.
That's okay.
Anyway, so I wouldn't put it as if, consciousness was something that evolved by natural selection. It did, yes and no. Basically anything that responds to the environment is going to be the rudiments of that whole system starting, and we are kind of like at the apex of that system with the amount of complex goings on in our nervous system, and we're just like we're like whirling little dervishes in the protoplasmic whirling dervishes is what we are. I think I should patent that motherfucker. That's a good. Anyway, so what I was saying is that this whole belief that we are the life form that God chose, we are either religion or panpsychism or fucking idealism. It's all mental, and it's all like me. I'm this little fucking organism, this little spot of fucking mildew on a dust ball, and they want to make us. That lacks humility so badly. That the universe is here for us, or is like us at its very core, at its very foundation. And that's one of the reasons. That is the emotional reason that I find any anti-realism unpalatable. But anyway, so that leads to the idea that God chose us, and then he wrote down these words. And the thing is that people that believe that, and they believe that they have the right answer and the rest of us motherfuckers don't, they adopt a whole lot of other bigoted and stupid ideas, like the earth is 6,000 years old, vaccines are bad, there is no climate change, gay people are going to go to hell, all that shit. They've already quit thinking when they've adopted these mythical ideas about man as the chosen one. And then they go off and they allow that to unleash these emotional sentiments that they have, which consist of bigotry and racism and othering and hatred. And of course they call that Christianity. and
fighting over some worthless sand.
What do we go here? Protecting our parents' mental abuse. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, way to go. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. And then it leads to this here, which I want to play. Now, I hope Dan doesn't get mad at us for playing this whole thing, but I'm going to do it because this is just so poignant. This is excellent. Ready?
Yep.
Ready. Do you have the link to it in the description?
I do. It's 6 minutes.
Well, there you go.
There's no such thing as gay Christians.
That's quite the no true Scotsman fallacy, but all right, let's see it.
The reason why some of us affirm it is because we don't read the word. And Romans 1 says, if you do this, it's sin and you're going to hell. And it says, if you approve, even if you're heterosexual, but you affirm it, you're going to hell just like they are. That's the word of God. And I love you enough to tell you, you better get right.
So this is absolutely not the word of God, and there are two reasons for that. The first is that Romans 1 never says a word about hell. Neither does the rest of the book of Romans. Neither does the rest of Paul. There are three Greek words that are translated hell in English: Gehenna, Hades, and Tartarus. And Paul does not use a single one of them a single time. There is absolutely no reference to any such concept in any of the Pauline writings. In fact, if you look at 1 Corinthians 5, we see what Paul says to do with someone who has committed what they considered to be grievous sexual sin. Deliver him to Satan for the destruction of the flesh, so that his soul may be saved in the day of the Lord. So no, it is not the word of God that Romans 1 says homosexuals and people who affirm them are going to hell. That's not in the Bible. Second reason this is not the word of God, at least according to the Bible, is because the word of God never refers to the scriptures anywhere in the Bible. That is a post-biblical innovation. That is not something that comes from the Bible. The word of God either refers to Jesus or to the actual oral communication of God's very words. And in the Bible, we have some reporting on God's words, at least ostensibly, but we have a lot of things that are reporting on other people's words. We have Paul saying, this is not from the Lord, this is just me. We have dialogue where Satan is speaking. That's not the word of God. And so the concept of the scriptures as the word of God is not biblical. It is thoroughly post-biblical. And so no, Romans 1 is not the word of God. The notion that Paul says you're all going to hell is absolutely not the word of God.
A lot of preachers looking down their long nose at this type of preaching and saying, well, you just need to preach the word. I am preaching the word.
No, it's absolutely not. This is just belligerent histrionics for the sake of identity politics. Homophobia has long been a central identity marker.
I love that phrasing.
Yep. As white Christian nationalists further and further lose their grips on political power, they're going to become more and more belligerent about these identity markers. But if you look in Romans 1, if you look in Leviticus, if you look in 1 Corinthians, you're going to see that the rationales that are appealed to for why these things are wrong are phenomenally outdated, are factually incorrect, and have absolutely no bearing whatsoever to the 21st century and need to be abandoned, like we abandoned things like thinking slavery is okay. That is what is sinful, and we rightfully abandon it, mostly. It's still a problem in a lot of parts of the world, and a lot of people are still trying to preserve some aspects of it. But the homophobia that has long been used to try to structure power and values in favor of white Christian nationalists and conservative Christians in general is not God's will and needs to go away.
This is distinguishing sin and righteousness, wrong and right, heaven and hell.
No, this is just textbook homophobia and right-wing authoritarian identity politics. The Bible is an awful guide for distinguishing sin from righteousness. The Bible treats slavery.
I love how this fucking preacher is out there just screaming, just belting it out, and then he comes on and says, no, you're wrong. It's just so subtle, right? This is fucking excellent.
It's perfectly acceptable. The Bible treats rape as a property crime. It says if a man rapes a married woman, that's the death penalty, because that's a property crime against her husband. If a man rapes an unmarried woman, he just has to pay a fine to her father because he has lost profits from the bride price from marrying her off. And then he has to marry her and can never divorce her. Why? Because that crime has rendered her ineligible for proper marriage in Israelite society. And so basically, she's got to be taken care of by her rapist for the rest of her life. Because the concern is not her autonomy. The concern is not her agency. The concern is just making sure society functions appropriately. And so rape is only a crime depending on what men are affected by it in the Bible. That's abhorrent. The Bible says nothing at all about one of the most pervasive and pernicious sins of contemporary America, white supremacy. And that's because the concept of race as a question of skin color did not yet exist, because the Bible is a product of its own time. And that time was 2,000 years ago. And we have outgrown the ethical frameworks of the Bible.
Now, isn't that fucking cool? What do you think of that?
Some of us have outgrown the
yeah, some of us have outgrown it. It's like 2,000 years ago. He makes a really good point about, white supremacy was not mentioned in the Bible. It wasn't because it's a dated fucking document,
And if Jesus Christ himself preached more on hell than he did on heaven,
He didn't.
then the preachers ought to be telling people that a hell to shun and a heaven to gain. There is a place where there is weeping and gnashing of teeth.
In households all over the United States and all over the world, you will find parents who speak as belligerently and as hatefully and as ignorantly about homosexuality, who condemn homosexuals as subhuman abominations who are destined only for an eternity of torment by a God who made them that way. And in a lot of those households, unbeknownst to those parents, you will find gay children. And that's where you will find weeping and gnashing of teeth. And that's where you will find the most painful hell associated with being gay.
That is fucking good, right?
Watched.
Shit, sorry.
Yep.
I mean, that was good.
There's no such thing.
That was poignant. That last part. I mean, Christ.
Well, and how many times have you heard people that would use anti-LGBTQ or any other minority wording, and then, oh yeah, my son or my daughter comes out, or they meet somebody of a different race or a different religion and fall in love, and then, well, I guess they aren't so bad after all.
Right. Yeah, that's happened in my own family. They because we had a few that went this way and that way and came out, and but my family, which I really appreciate, my family loves their children more than they love their fucking ideology, So they did just switch it up.
There was a story at Jesse Dollamore covered where a guy called in, and he was a elderly gentleman, and he flat out said, I don't understand all this LGBTQ, and I don't really understand this gender stuff and all this going on. He was, honest. I don't know, and but his nephew came out as his niece and was no longer welcome in the parents' home, so the uncle took him in.
Yeah.
And even though it was like, well, and maybe he has this, that, and questions, and maybe, but he said, you need a place to stay, your family.
Yeah.
And it's like, he's better man than he gives himself credit for.
Yep. So Stephanie Helms was on last night, raging, basically, over this. Stop being nice to these fuckers with their ideology, And I know, Dave, you like to be more accommodating than I often am, but Stephanie had a point. That this stuff is not just, everybody's entitled to their beliefs. This stuff is intertwined in politics, and politics ends up voting in leaders, and leaders end up governing in a way that affects everyone, right? So it starts up as, everybody has the right to just believe as they will believe, and it's okay if they believe, but then if they vote and they create laws that basically take these religious ideas, these ideas of bigotry and fucking damnation and hell and sin, and they start operating your schools and your curriculum for the children that we send to those public schools, and they start creating laws that affect everybody, well, then it's not so fucking innocent. It isn't just my belief, everybody has a right to believe.
I try to be open and friendly, but I've had issues with somebody close to me recently about some comments made about gay people, and I was not happy about it, and it's caused some rifts in our relationships.
Yeah, you're a nice guy, Dave. And
well, I can point out, like I said, if I have something to say, I'll make a video and I'll say it and I'll stand by it. So I've called people out. I called out the charlatans in the YEC and stuff. Some people I think are being dishonest, and some people have just been deceived. So there is a difference.
the converted man knows Jesus was super gay. I'm going to throw a link out in the chat. And we ain't got to be too long today. So James, he isn't here. He got me in trouble this morning with my axe.
I know. I was jumping around. I got to run, and I ran out and did my runs. And I got to get back by 11. I come in here, and I got 4 minutes to spare. I got my cup of tea ready. I sit down, and I look at it, and it's like, oh, he's not now. It's like, oh.
wait a minute, 24 hours? What the fuck? What happened?
Well, with me though, it was quite a relief because of my migraines and sleeping into the late afternoon. I didn't get to bed till late. I didn't get up till noon, and I woke up and went, "Dang it! I missed James's live stream." And so I go to replay it, and then I look, and hey, he switched it to a different date, and I was very, very pleased.
I had asked him, just don't stream while my football game's on.
Yeah.
And it was just jokingly, and he said, well, when is it? And I said, well, we got the afternoon game, So when I scheduled it at 11, I said, oh, well, I can't miss it because he did it before the football game, So I was trying to make sure I was there. So James, you let us down, but we still love you, and we'll be there tomorrow.
And I must confess that I was very relieved myself, because when I went for a run this morning, and then I walked 2 miles, and then I came home and I had this big thing of Italian sausage and this wonderful fresh new dozen of eggs, and I wanted to make eggs and sausage, and I thought, okay, I'm gonna have to wait till after James's stream, and I'm like, oh boy, I get to make them now.
Well, I went out with Kentucky Atheist for a little bit and chatted with him, so we're talking about doing something together. So,
yep. So I found
and just a shout out to Kentucky Atheist is going to do his first debate Monday night against T-Rock. So check it out and give him some support and everything.
What venue?
What channel?
MDD, Modern Day Debate.
Oh no shit. Kentucky Atheist. Do I have them on my list? Kentucky. Sure that
is.
No, I don't.
It'll be his first debate. So.
And we are joined. Wait a minute. I'm going to wait till Mandible, who is in the backstage, can. Well, let's just see if he can.
Oh,
hear
no.
us. I don't get a. Can you hear us, Mandible?
Oh shit. Are you on Chrome? Because Restream doesn't work, and oh no, he's got the midnight curse. Son of a bitch. What is wrong? Yeah, what is wrong with that? Let's see. And I can't do a thing about it. So there's a problem with Restream, and it doesn't work with Firefox, for one thing. If you have Google Chrome, or I think Safari. Oh, there you go. Now I think you're on. Say something. Nope. Audio's out.
Okay, can you hear me?
There it is.
Yeah, there you are. Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay. I'm on a Google browser called Brave. I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, we can hear you. I had to turn you up a little bit, but anyway, yeah, I stumbled on your channel when you commented on one of my videos. I didn't know about you.
No.
I like your content. Yeah, great content.
Yeah. Thank you for linking and so on.
Yeah.
I sit in Denmark and it's kind of late, so I'm just popping in to say hi. I might not stay for several hours. Right?
Okay. Well, we're not going to be here for several hours. We're
okay.
Yeah, we're all too old.
I'm very critical of Bernardo Kastrup, and he's my favorite, deconstructing target at the moment.
Punching bag. Yeah.
Yeah, you could say, yeah.
Yeah, I just, the guy really irritates me with his coming on and saying physics has disproven physicalism, that sort of thing. It just goads me, and it's all mental. And then when you try to work that it's all mental out, he uses all these metaphors like dissociative personality disorder. I think it's DPD or something, where you have yeah, something like that. I mean, he uses that, and he never quite explains how the fuck that works. So apparently all of us are disassociated personalities that are embedded in the great mind. The great mind, right?
So in other words, the universe is crazy.
Right. And
Or at least mentally ill.
And I listened to him talk to Michael Levin, and and I was trying to glimpse where Bernardo Kastrup, like the deeper thinking that he does, and I just cannot put it together. Probably because I'm such a dyed-in-the-wool physicalist, right?
Yeah.
But it drives me crazy. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's not like I'm personally not a physicalist, but I'm not an idealist either. If I'm anything, I'm a dualist.
Okay, so
and that's the most unpopular thing, I suppose.
Oh yeah, especially on this
but
channel.
that would take maybe too long to explain that. But in my opinion, I'm for the idea that you only have access to your own experiences.
Okay.
Because you cannot have access to anything but your own experiences.
Right.
But you can interpret in your experiences the way you want to. Who can take that away from you, right? If I want to interpret my experience of whatever color, or whatever sound, and so on in a particular fashion, well, that's my judgment. That's my decision. Yeah. And one thing you can do is to interpret an experience as being a representation of something outside your experiences. Right? If I'm experiencing elephant, I cannot be experiencing something outside my experience that is elephant. That elephant must be a part of my experience, otherwise I wouldn't have it.
Right.
So if we talk to each other, we are exchanging experiences. We are not exchanging whatever it is we are talking about regarding those experiences. So if we are talking about an elephant we both have an experience of, then we are exchanging our experiences or relating our experiences, not the actual thing that might be out there. Because that's impossible, because we can't experience it.
Well, I take
if we are saying that there's something beyond our experiences, right? And that's the paradox. That is the foundational problem. And actually, I would say that Bernardo Kastrup is right in that, but that's the only thing he's right about.
Yeah, I take it a little bit differently. I see like me and the elephant as basically being a relationship in physicality, right? In the physical universe, there's a relationship going on. And that relationship is complex and it happens over time. So when I open my eye or I turn my head and I see the elephant the first time, that's when it starts. The experience starts. And of course, it starts resonating with everything I know about elephants. And even the Disney Dumbo cartoons are involved in that resonating. And at the same time, my eyes are saccading over the elephant. Your eyes kind of dart back and forth, and you get more visual information. And then my frontal cortex in my memory starts feeding forward or feeding backward into my visual system more information about elephants. And the whole time I'm looking at the elephant is kind of like a little tornado happening, a little tornado of relationship. And that's what creates mind. And my mind isn't in my brain. It isn't in just my brain and my body. My mind is now in the elephant, my brain, the body, and everything around us. So that's how I view it.
Yeah, but when you're talking about the elephant, you're talking about an experience. You're talking about colors, sounds, hopefully not tastes, but smells and so on, right? There are five of these: colors, sounds, taste, and so on.
Oh, and also everything I've accumulated in the past about elephants is also coming in.
Yeah, but that's the memory. That's not an elephant. If I sit here and recall an experience of an elephant yesterday, that is not an experienced elephant. That is a memory elephant.
Yeah, but when you're looking at the elephant now, 90% of the information that reaches your primary visual cortex is coming from that memory. And that memory is a complex of neural networks, right? So only 10% is coming from the outside world.
Yeah, but the other things you're talking about, these are abstractions made from older experiences.
Yeah,
which are
but
also
they're
direct experiences of colors, sounds, and taste, and so on.
yeah, but they're not
So
pictures
it
of
all
those experiences.
comes back to the experience, right?
Yeah.
No matter what, you're always bringing your experiences along to whatever. That's what is known as empiricism, right? That's when you're doing science, you always bring some kind of experiential as a being doing science. For instance, you are using empiricism to
Yeah,
check
but I don't.
what you want to check, right?
But I
You don't sit 10 kilometers away from that which you're going to try to prove in science. You bring along yourself to in the vicinity of whatever it is you expect to be there, and then you open your eyes and ears and nose and so on. Use your experiences in order to classify. So you're always bringing these senses along in order to do whatever it is you're doing. All the rest are either imaginations or memories or something like that of prior similar experiences.
Yeah, but memories. Okay, episodic memories. No, it's not that. It's much more complicated than that. I don't subscribe to naive empiricism. Okay, as you go through life, when you develop from a zygote into what we are right now, there is a complex of interaction with your environment going on, and it's never just one thing.
No, but that's in the past.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's in the past. It's also embedded in those
But
neural networks.
I can't experience it if it's in the past, because I can't. The past doesn't have a color or a sound, not something that I can experience directly in sort of a human fashion, like impressions, right?
No, you
So
experience
it,
it. You
you can only, in
re-experience.
my opinion, you can only have knowledge in the now. I can only know if I experience an elephant over there in the corner of my house, right? I can say now I know elephant or that particular elephant with those particular qualia. But if the elephant goes away, I no longer know elephant because I'm not experiencing it.
Oh, but okay. So when you experience the elephant, you're not just relying on empirical sense data that's coming into you from the elephant, right? You're also resonating with everything that you have experienced in the past. When you experience elephants, you also experience things like trees and objects and everything you know about 3D space and all of that, and everything resonates together. So when the elephant pops into your field of view, he creates this little whirlwind of relationship that's going on, and that is your mind, and that is consciousness. And it's not that difficult to explain without any dualistic elements. It's an entire. We are a little physical storm in the world right now, and the boundaries of that storm are not the edges of our body. It's not our skin. It goes outside into the world around us. So everything you experience,
That
right?
just sounds a bit like if you call it a storm, then you could call it a whirlpool or ripple like Bernardo Kastrup does. What's the
Yeah,
difference?
kind of. Yeah.
So, in my opinion, mind is not something you can experience. That's an abstraction. That's
Right.
a category,
Exactly.
a description that says all that I have access to, my memories, my imaginations, my theories, my qualia, my cognitions, like elephant and so on. I all put them in one bag I call mind.
Yes, I agree with you there.
It's a
Okay.
category. It's not an aspect. It's not an ontology. It's just a label. Like if you see a map and it says France, then France doesn't exist. It's just a name that I give a particular encompassing area, or a certain space or something like that. In the same fashion, mind is just a label added to all that which I can access somehow, right?
We agree with that. We agree on that
And,
much.
yeah, and that's the problem. That's the category error that is a foundational problem of Bernardo Kastrup's philosophy, which he says that, okay, everything is mind because that's what I have access to. I call it mind. And then he says, everything is made of mind.
Yeah.
That's the problem. You can't do that. It's like saying if you're pointing at a car and say, that's a car, therefore it's made of car.
Everything's
That's
made of car.
stupid, right? That's
Right.
ridiculous.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. Yeah, we have a concept of mind and we have a concept of consciousness, and every time we start talking about consciousness, that concept weasels its way in, and it gives people like Kastrup and this other guy Goff, Goff, that I just run into. It gives us the yeah, it gives us the impression that there's something there, like we reify this experience that we're having and call it consciousness. And then Kastrup and these a lot of idealists and a lot of these panpsychists and whatever think that it's something in itself, that it's not just the content of consciousness, that there's some core element to it. Well, you made too as a dualist, so I would have to hear your argument for dualism. It is not a popular thing with me.
No, I understand that, but my approach is that I'm saying that sorry if I interrupted you. Please
no, that's
go on.
okay. No, I have a dualist. Like I have a target when I go out and target shooting. I usually have a dualist target.
Yeah, but
just so you know where I'm coming from.
I don't think you can argue dualism away.
Oh,
Just because it's difficult to explain doesn't make it go away, in my opinion.
right.
So just because you can't say, well, I can't combine mind and matter or whatever you want to call it, right?
Yeah.
So therefore, it can't be. I'm just going to say I'm rejecting that there is a problem or is the possibility. I don't think that's a good argument. So I think you have to take into consideration that it could be dualist before you can prove that it can't be. So therefore, I'm saying I'm combining the idea of I only have access to my experiences, and I'm going to treat some of those experiences as representations of an outside which is different from that which I am, different from my experiences. That's why I'm having the experiences. That's the only thing I can have in order to have something to go with about that external world I don't have access to. That is different.
Real quick, we have a question from Icarus. He wants to know if you're a substance dualist.
Right. I was just going to ask that question. Are you a property dualist? I don't think you're a substance dualist, right?
I'm not sure what the difference is.
Oh, well, a substance dualist would be believe that there were like physically or like two ontological categories, the mental and the physical. And a property dualist would believe that it was sort of a category error, that we have these ideas about things. So a property dualist would be a weaker form of dualism than a substance dualist. And then there's epistemic dualism is kind of the idea that, there's two ways of knowing. You kind of sound like you may fall into that category. I don't know.
From the basics, I am I have an aversion against isms in general.
Yeah, there you go.
I have my philosophy, and if you can put it in a particular category, okay, fine with me. But I don't want to have to find an ism somewhere, because then I will only be able to choose what somebody else has already come up with. So I like to have my philosophy, and then you can be the judge which kind of ism it is.
Do you have a video that explains your position anywhere?
I don't have one single video, but I've done a few in the past which sort of deals with it has been changing to some extent through the years here, right? But let me cut it short, because I was trying to poke at it just before by saying that I'm working from the notion that all I have access to is could potentially be something outside, or a representation of something outside, and that's all I have. I have my experiences, and I choose to interpret some parts of my experiences as representations of an outside I don't have access to. So it's like I have the representations, and I can work with those, but since I use them or interpret them as representations, there is by definition something beyond my experience, but I can't access it. I can't get to it. I can't say anything about what it is. I can only deal with my experiences as representations of it, and that's the problem. I think it's very, very, very difficult to just leave it alone and say I'm not going to try to explain to myself or somebody else what the fuck is out there, right?
Yeah, I push back in neuroscience. I push back against representationalism. I don't think that's how the mind works, how the brain works, and but that's a deeper subject. But I'm going to try to listen to you. If you could point me at a video, that would be cool. How long have you been doing videos, for God's sake?
Oh, going on 10 years, right?
Oh,
Most
no
of the
shit.
time it's been in Danish, but all my videos are generally sort of hardcore philosophy.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't do anything sort of clickbaity stuff.
Oh, I
if you
love
know
it. I love the
So-
title of this one. Bernardo Kastrup explains that his metaphysics is baloney.
Well, I have a beef with the guy, right? Because
Oh my God, you do. Yeah. I feel
yeah, he's my favorite version, right? But the first time I deconstructed one of his, he did a course on an analytic idealism on Essentia Foundation, their YouTube channel, and I deconstructed or commented on all the videos, and he sent me a threat that I should stop it.
Really? Yeah,
He
he
basically
is.
threatened me with government violence in order to shut me up, right?
Oh, no shit.
So I'm like, okay, he probably thought that, well, this little peasant, he's going to shut the fuck up and fold it, right?
Right.
So I'm just like, I'm doubling down on him then, right?
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, he is kind of a jerk, and I've heard that on Twitter and a few other forums, he really gets kind of abrasive, if you counter him. That's kind of why he seems like wants to be a cult leader. He wants to be the who's that crazy Buddhist guy? The crazy one, Scott, you mentioned him earlier. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, Deepak. It's a deep pock. I like that.
It's quantum. It's quantum.
It's all quantum all the way down, man.
My favorite Deepak is the physicist that stood up in the audience one time and said, Mr. Chopra, I understand, or I know all the words that you're using, but I don't understand how you're using them in the same sentence.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Oh, let's see.
It seems to me that the people who flock to Bernardo Kastrup and Essentia and that thing are people who are very sort of prone to religion or some kind of mysticism or some kind of stones in the pocket and this type of people.
There's
So
people that want to believe that something has to be magical out there, and
Yeah.
they have to hold on to it.
Well, it's
Yeah.
it's more than just magic. It has to be like a mind like magic, okay? Like the whole thing about supernatural and all of that, it's always about mind. That there's something with intention. Like I can I can intentionally create fire or put a curse upon you or whatever. It's always about a mind doing something. If it's a god or a spirit or a ghost, it's always about a goddamn mind. And that's what drives me nuts. That we're so we lack humility so much that we think the goddamn universe is working like our brains, and it's like, no, not happening.
My spell book didn't work either. I read
Yeah.
the spells, and Mike,
Oh.
I I'm a little thin on top too, so I don't mean any disrespect at all. But I expected you to have a lot more hair after I did my spell. So
Yeah, I know. And there's nothing up here.
I would have to say the spell did not work. So
Well, let's see. I can
and we
cleanse
did
over.
we did it with all sincerity. We did it with all sincerity. We read it just like we were
Yeah.
supposed to, right out of the book. And so I gave it my all. And I'm sorry to everybody else in the audience that I promised luscious locks. I guess it just doesn't work.
Damn, you got 903 videos, Mandel. And
Wow.
you only got 300 subscribers. What the hell? And you got good videos
You
too.
have 301 now. I just subscribed.
Dave,
I
you just
think
did it
I've
wrong.
been flagged basically by YouTube a long way back.
Maybe
I've been
Bernardo.
I'm basically critical of everything, right? And
Yeah.
nobody gets. I mean, I go in the flesh of everybody, feminism and government, and everybody, right?
Yeah.
So I have pissed somebody off in YouTube, so they are making sure that nobody sees me, right?
Well, you're a damn duelist, so you piss me off. So
You got a kindred spirit, Mike.
Well, yeah, okay, but I think I can handle it.
yeah. Yeah, you should have more subs than you have. And you got some really cool content like religion is child abuse. I love that one. You know, that Essentia Foundation, I think they're pretty well funded. I think they're funded by that. There's this one man's name, I forget what it is, but he's involved
Yeah.
in a whole lot of religious funding. I think he's behind Essentia.
Yeah, is
How about
that
the Templeton
guy, Fred
Foundation?
Matza?
What is that?
Fred
Talking about the
Matza?
Templeton Foundation?
I think so. Yeah, I'm not sure, but they're behind a whole lot of woo.
Yeah, but they just made a video with Bernardo and him, Fred Matza, who's behind Essentia Foundation, that his father was in the real estate business after the Second World War, where a significant part of the Netherlands were destroyed, and
Yeah.
they had to rebuild it. But I believe that a lot of that funding came through the Marshall deal, the Marshall help from the USA, and all the money that flowed in from sort of governmental kind of funding that they sort of took advantage of, you could say, right? So I think that that his father and him became very rich on
Yeah.
this rebuilding of the Netherlands, and he sort of had a bad feel about it because it was sort of government money, and he tried to channel it into sort of virtue signaling things like Essentia Foundation and other things about helping the poor and so on, right? That's
Yep.
just my personal take on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that are going wrong in the United States right now is there's a lot of funding behind some of these creationist sites. They're getting a ton of money. I mean, just an unbelievable amount of money from donors.
Dan Phelps just was releasing that this CEO or whatever he is called of the Coke bottling division, not the company itself, but
Yeah.
the bottling division is one of Ken Ham's deep pockets.
Yep.
So,
That's why he switched to Coke at the Ark.
and now,
Are you all from the States?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm from Minnesota.
Yeah.
In the middle.
What is your thought about the upcoming election next year?
Oh my God.
Will it be sort of a significant event if
I
they
think-
steal it again?
I
If
think
Trump
everybody,
runs-
yeah, I think everybody had the right to vote for Trump the first time around because maybe we needed something different. But if you're voting again after what happened, I seriously have to question how you're examining that.
If it happens, I mean, if Trump runs, okay, that's going to be one real big red flag for the United States. That's going to be like a thorn in our side that is so big that it is. We have never had a thorn like this before. If he gets elected, I think we're fucked. I mean, really. He's either going to start a world war or he's just going to he's going to go after the Justice Department that, that is after him right now. And that's all he's going to do for 4 years, and nothing's going to get done, and we're just going to descend into a shithole. And I don't know.
He flat out says dictator stuff. He wants to get rid of parts of the Constitution. He wants to get rid of the Justice Department and the FBI and the CIA.
He wants to control it all. Well, when he was in office,
and did you hear he wants to flood California so the forests don't catch on fire? Because if they were moist, they wouldn't have forest fires out there.
He also wants
like a 5-year-old. I said, if a 5-year-old said that, I would say, hey, that's a good idea, right? If they were a lot more moist, they probably wouldn't have as many fires. That's a good idea.
Yeah,
for a 5-year-old, that's a that's a great idea. But
windmills are killing the whales.
Let's just flood the forest so they don't catch on fire. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the things
he was out there
thinking.
He was out there and he said they ought to weed the woods. Basically, we should weed the forest. Weed the woods. Yeah.
but isn't it isn't it basically considered a fact that the election was stolen last time?
In some conspiracy-minded people's minds, yes.
Yeah, well, that whole
yeah,
that whole thing with the election being stolen, that was them trying
to January 6th and so on. Isn't that a false flag? It looks like that to me, at least, right?
Yeah, well, that's an indication of them trying to steal elections. They're trying to insert themselves into the process itself. The Trump Republicans are. And the way they're doing it is by claiming the other side is doing it. Well, the fucking Democrats aren't smart enough to steal an election. I mean, they're not powerful.
No,
I mean,
but the deep state. I mean, those who are really running the things in the state. Those are who's sitting there. No matter who's president or who's running the sort of the political aspect of it.
Illuminati, Freemasons,
and
lizard people,
the military-industrial complex along that.
Yeah.
There's no.
I don't know. I'm not living over there, so it's not
my
problem.
There is no fucking deep state. If there's it's just a bunch of people that are voting with their money.
No, there is a deep state. It's the religious fundamentalists.
Voting with their money.
A lot of money and have a lot of power from the pulpit to tell people who to vote for.
Yeah. My goodness.
I since we are in sort of a hot territory here, it depends on what you want to think. I mean,
we're Americans. We try to laugh.
I'm an outsider, so I can think what I want to think about the U.S. Right?
Yeah, we try to laugh things off here because otherwise we would cry too much. So.
But anyway, if there's an election and somebody is running for the election as a presidential candidate, and the idea is that it's democracy, then whoever wins in a fair election must be the one that everybody supports, right? So if you don't support if you support democracy, but you don't like the result of democracy, then you're not a Democrat, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So if you hate the result of the system you love, there's something wrong. It's cognitive dissonance, right? So it's not the full story if you are ditching somebody who was elected correctly according to the system you like.
Right. And that happened in 2016, went against everything that I believe in, but he did win the election. And that worries the hell out of me because that means that I may be living in the wrong country.
And the difference is we didn't yell that he cheated to get into office.
No.
We just said, oh, well, okay, he won. And we had to abide by it. But
of course, he definitely cheated once he got into office.
The problem is he thinks he's a king and that we can't criticize him. He doesn't like the media or the late night comedians or anybody criticizing him because he sees himself above everybody when the president is supposed to be not above everybody. He's serving the country and the people, but he wants to be, he can't get he envies the world's dictators. He talks the nicest about North Korea, Russia, China, and some of the spots in the
Yeah.
Middle East. Those
Well,
are the
he just-
leaders he all envies.
I think he just complimented Hamas about how smart they were
Yeah.
recently. And it's like, oh yeah, they're really great planners, and let's get behind that.
He likes
But
China's swift justice.
he was quite popular in 2016 election, right? So there's a lot of people who supported him and still support Donald Trump, and there are probably more now than there were in 2020.
No, I don't think so.
After
I think he's
Right?
down to about 30%. But the problem is you've got
Really?
you've got about 20. Well, he's down less than 30, I think. But you've got that other percentage of Republicans, right? And they're going to vote according to their party. And so if they're looking at either voting for Biden, who's kind of getting old, or Trump, they're going to pick fucking Trump. And that's how Trump got in. I mean, not everybody wanted Trump as their candidate, right?
And
Just
Pence-
like
No,
I don't want.
but if there's anything that just smells a little like a rigged election next time, I think
Yeah.
some shit is going to go down, right? Then
No,
the more Republican end of the spectrum has had enough, right?
Well, neither party has the power to rig an election. Okay, that takes a lot of power. It would have to be some other force, and there's too many different factions in this country for them to come
Well,
together.
the U.S. they have 850 foreign military bases, so they do have a lot of power, right?
Well, who does? Not the Republicans. I mean, I don't know.
Don't discount Mike Pence, because the religious right wasn't embracing Trump. They were embracing Pence.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
even if they had Pence in there, he had all the evangelical influence.
Right.
And sure enough, he brought it all in. He surrounded Trump with all those different preachers and Paula White and all the rest of them. And they were all whispering in his ear. So don't discount Pence's influence on getting all that religious stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a point. I don't know how fundamentalists could have thought that Trump had anything to do with religion.
You know who Greg Locke is, right? And he's all Trump, 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 Trump these days, right?
Yeah.
But back in the day, there was a video where he was chuckling and laughing, going, ha, 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 y'all think we want Trump. We don't want Trump. We want Pence.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Locke will be Trump's pick for vice president this time.
Oh, you see who he's hanging out with now? Benny
No.
Hinn. Benny Hinn. He's trying
Oh
to get in
no!
on-
Oh
Yeah,
motherfucker!
He's
Oh, no.
moving to exorcisms and everything now.
Holy
He
shit!
sees the big money. Benny Hinn's worth, like, depending who you ask, like $25 to $50 million.
And Trump needs
waving
money.
his hands around.
Trump needs money because I think the man is really his net worth is probably closer to zero than mine.
And
When you
Mike
pay all
Pillow,
his debt.
and Mike Pillow too.
Yeah, Mike Pillow. I love Mike Pillow. He is like a blemish. He's from Minnesota, and I'm so embarrassed to be from the same state as that man. But he started that pillow thing. I think I bought one of his fucking pillows at the county fair, and that's how he got started.
If he would have stopped there, he's kind of got a good story. He was down on his luck, and even if it took Jesus or whatever, he picked himself up and he started a company, and he should have just stopped right there. That's a nice story. And then he had to ruin it by, and all these leeches that surrounded around him just bled him dry too. You know that
Yeah.
too. That
Yep.
all those places, they just, as soon as the money's gone, they're not going to have anything to do with him anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
So in a way, I feel sorry for him, because he was taken advantage of by people that were putting their hands all over him and saying all kind of the prayers and everything. And that you got that check for us, right, Mike?
Yeah.
So
Yep. Yeah, I remember when they sold that shit at just state fairs and county fairs, and he built a company out of it.
yeah, it was I mean, people make fun of him because he had a drug habit or whatever, and a gambling problem, and
fuck.
drinking or what. He had issues, but you know what? If people get over their issues, and good for them.
Yeah, people
And-
make fun of me because I'm a drug addict too.
In a way, I feel he's maybe a little influential. You know what I mean? And that's why he was easily into, bad habits, and he just moved from one bad habit over to these religious folks that said, "Ooh, you got how many millions of dollars, and you got a big old line of credit too, and come on
Yeah, and
over here."
the fact that Trump acknowledged him probably, he was like, oh boy, Minnesota boy makes the big time. Trump acknowledged me, and then he just fell into it. And the guy doesn't seem like he may have slipped back into the drug thing. He doesn't strike me as somebody that's fucking sober. Does he?
The election was stoled.
Old, yeah.
He makes up his own words all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, and the one day he was talking about I took calculus in 8th grade, and then he said something like, I got 2 and I got 4 or something, that makes 5, right? Or something. And he messed up like some basic math thing. He's great for Jimmy Kimmel's late.
So
night.
Mandible, do you remember when we elected Obama? Like, I thought I thought the United States was finally coming to.
I remember when you elected Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, I remember that guy too. I actually voted against him. I was a Republican at the time.
He is a good man.
He is a good man.
He's in the ranks like Mr. Rogers and stuff, that lives by his faith and actually does good and everything. And I can disagree with him, but you got to acknowledge he's a good man. But he might have been too good and too nice to be president.
He should have stuck with the peanut farm. I don't know. Anyway,
he reported a UFO sighting too.
Oh fuck no!
When he was in the Air Force, he reported a UFO.
We gotta find one of those, Dave. You did that. You did everything you should have done. We should be seeing them.
The sun was out earlier, but the forecast was a sprinkle, and now it's cloudy. So, but it's that time of year. It's the fronts.
You need to get some sort of radar equipment.
Well, if nothing else, it'll clear up once it, past November comes. You start to get clear cold nights.
So Mandible, I want you to make a duelist out of me. Send me a video. Send me the videos where you explain what you're thinking, and send email them to me, and I'll take a look, and we'll get together, and you can make a duelist out of me. If you do that, that would be the greatest magic trick ever.
Yeah, I like listening to what you had to say. Very interesting.
I'm sure. I'm not sure I have a video that very specifically talks about dualism as such.
Send me a pile.
As I said, that I try to avoid isms, because I'm basically just presenting my own philosophy, right?
Yeah. If you can find a few videos that show me what you're thinking, and you can pick a few out, go ahead and send them to me, and I'll give them a listen. And and we'll go from there. And
you're putting me to work. Maybe you could browse through my
I've been browsing through, and I ran into an area where I don't understand the fuck. I have no idea what language this is even.
Okay, it's Danish, but I switched. I started out doing it in Danish, and I switched to English like
2 years ago.
4 years ago.
Yeah. Well.
So no, but I'd rather explain it, to you 1-to-1 or 1-to-3 or how many.
Yeah, okay. Let me find a time when I'm awake, and maybe we can record. My mornings. Time zone. How far are you? You're like 6-7 hours ahead of us.
It's 11 p.m. now, my place.
11 p.m. Okay. Okay, so you're 7 hours ahead of us. So let me see.
Where are you located?
I'm in Denmark.
Okay.
Yeah, so So my, I'm really good early in the mornings, like 4, 5, 6 o'clock in the mornings, something like that. And that would
And
be
we
like
won't be around.
that'd be like noon your time. Well, we could do, we could just record something. We could do it private and record it, and then we could decide if we wanted to edit it. And we'll have a talk. I'll reach out to you and we'll schedule something. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sure.
At the end of that, you're going to be a physicalist.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'm always open for. I mean, what I'm always looking for, it's the argument. How do
Yep.
you argue from A to B? I don't care about your conclusions basically if you don't give me the argument how you get to it, right?
Okay.
So I'm not talking about you in particular, right? In general. So I'm looking for the good argument. That's what I'm looking for in, for instance, Bernardo Kastrup. What is this argument for that external world?
Right.
He can't
Does
argue
he
for
ever
it.
give
He
one?
just
Does he ever
takes it for
have one?
granted. Sorry?
I've listened to a lot of his content, and I've never actually found his argument for that.
No, yeah, and the same I've done, and I haven't found it either. The
Gotcha.
closest thing he gets to it is something like, "Well, you can't argue against it, or you can't
Right.
refute it," something like that.
Yeah.
Something to that effect, and that's not good enough for me, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like he's
and
trying
my-
to. It's almost like he's trying to create some sort of social grouping, some
Yeah.
sort of social movement where
A cult.
people just believe it.
He wants to be a cult
Yeah.
leader. He wants to be
Yeah.
Deepak Chopra.
Yeah, I
And-
think so too. Right?
Yeah. Pretty nasty. Okay, I kind of want to shoot her in the head, guys, and end this for the day. Go off. Nobody's watching. Or, well, we got 7 people watching. I don't want to say nobody. So we got Spooky, and we got Wooly and Icarus.
Yeah, because we have some really quality folks in the
We
side
have some,
chat today.
well, we
Yeah.
have some really good fans. Nerdy
Yeah,
Rodent.
Check out Mandible's website too.
Yep, everybody check out
Channel,
Mandible's website.
Yeah, well, I'll kick it too. So thank you for having me on, and I hope to do something with you.
Okay, we'll set something up within the next couple weeks, okay? And I'll find a moment when I'm crisp. And I don't quite do philosophical arguments, but I do more of a kind of a dialectic. I don't know, but I can tell you where I'm coming from. And but I want to hear where you're coming from. Okay.
And my observation is it is extremely difficult to change people's opinion.
Oh yeah, it is. Yeah, and I'm working on changing everything about my life and my opinion and my brain. So you caught me at the right moment.
Okay.
Okay, guys,
So-
we're gonna end it.
It was fun. See you later.
Yep. Thank
Good
you.
talking to you.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
showing.
Nice chatting with you.
Okay, guys, shoot her in the head.
All right, gentlemen. Always
I
a
think we
pleasure.
should. I think we should.
Okay. Okay, boys and girls and buffaloes and bunnies. And I don't want to
Spooky.
exclude anybody.
Spooky says Beck is live. If you want to, you can go over there and check out Beck.
Okay. And everybody should watch Gen V. It's pretty good.
And tonight should be or Strange Science with Maya too, if you're a late nighter.
Oh, it's Sunday, isn't it?
It's Sunday.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, guys. Goodbye, cruel world.